Hi, everyone. I wanted to talk to you today about ancient Rome using our grapes, geography, the religion, the achievements, the political, economic, and social structures of ancient Rome. I wanted you to hear this video before you take your quiz because I'm going to address most of the questions on the quiz. Just like Greece that we just finished our study of, Rome was also located in Europe in the country of Italy. The country of Italy is a peninsula. It's surrounded by water on all three sides, and it extends into the Mediterranean Sea. This was a big deal because it allowed for them to control the regions of the Mediterranean, which was important for trade. This addresses one of the questions on your quiz, so pay close attention to that. Two major mountain ranges in Rome were the Alps and the Apennines, and some fertile land along the banks of the Tiber River allowed for them to grow a variety of crops. So this was better for people who lived in Rome than what the people of Greece experienced. Because remember, in Greece, they had to rely a lot on shipping and trade because the land was not fertile and it was difficult for them to provide any agriculture for themselves. So the religion of Rome gets a little complicated because in the beginning it's polytheistic, meaning that they worshiped many different gods, just the same as the Greek gods, but they changed their names. Remember, most of those gods revolve around nature. They created stories about their beliefs called myths. I put Romulus and Remus, a video of this myth, in your study. So hopefully you watch that video and you're familiar with that story because it's very interesting. Religion changed, though, and it went from being polytheistic to monotheistic when Constantine became emperor. The new religion became Christianity. Now, another question on your test is addressed with asking about Christianity. Christianity is monotheistic. It states that Jesus is the Son of God and the incarnation of God. So this is important for you to know about Christianity. Achievements or contributions that were made by Rome were a big deal. One of the greatest achievements was the republican form of government. With this form of government, the people elected leaders to represent the people. It's a little different than the direct government. We're going to talk about that in just a second. They were the first to use concrete. They used advanced technology with aqueducts, which we learned in previous civilizations that aqueducts brought water from the mountains to lower elevations so that people in dry lands had access to fresh water so that they could water their crops. Roman roads, this helped to connect the empire. You've heard the saying, all roads lead to Rome. That's where that saying came from. So it helped to connect the empire to other civilizations, which in return provided for trade. So the political structure began as a monarchy. It was ruled by kings and queens, but it became a republic after the last king was overthrown. A republic is a lot like a democracy. People could now elect their leaders, and then those leaders were their voices. So it was a representative democracy, just like we elect our leaders today. We elect our congressmen and they make the laws for us. We elect our president. So there's a lot of local officials that are elected as well. The empire was too large for a direct democracy like Greece, where all of the people had a say-so. So with the empire being so large, they had elected representatives that would, or elected officials that would represent them. So the Law of the 12 Tables was written at this time. It was the first written codification of Roman laws. And it was written at the request of the plebeians. This is also important. Anything that you see underlined that I'm going over addresses a question on your test. So by the request of the plebeians, they wanted this written down. They wanted the laws posted in the forum so that everyone would know what the laws were and that everyone had to obey them. This prevented the patricians from abusing their position. And remember, the patricians were the rich and wealthy landowners. The plebeians were just your normal working class citizens. So the working class citizens were demanding that the laws be published because a lot of times the rich and wealthy landowners would change the laws to meet their needs, and it wasn't fair. The Roman Republic would fall due to the assassination of Julius Caesar by the Senate. Rome would become an empire. Emperors are declared and have the power and control. The internal strife and the invasions of the barbarian tribes brought the end of the Roman Empire. This is important. You'll need to know that Rome fell because of these barbarian tribes. Another note that wasn't in your grapes, but that you will need to know, is that Roman women had some legal rights, but they were not equal to men. That's important. So the economic structure was, again, based on trade, as most civilizations were. The surplus of crops enabled the growth of Rome. They had access to the seas. This access to the Mediterranean allowed the traders to go out and trade with Greece, Spain, Northern Africa, and Asia. They traded goods and ideas. And then the social structure. The highest people within the social structure were your patricians. These were your rich and wealthy landowners, and this is why they felt like they could push their power around. And then you had your plebeians, which were normal working class citizens, and then you had the slaves. So you will have a question about who was the head, the top of the social hierarchy, and it would be the patricians. That covers most of the questions that you're going to see on your quiz. There is one question that requires an answer using a timeline, and what you just need to remember is this timeline is representing BCE, before Common Era, or BC, before Christ, also known as that. So the numbers start out high and they move to the right and they get lower. So the higher the number, the longer ago the event took place. So be careful and remember that thought as you look at your timeline and identify which event was first. It would be whichever event in your multiple choice list that is given took place the longest ago, which would be the highest number. You will find it's not going to be the oldest event listed. So don't let that throw you off. You're going to have to look at your choices and determine which of the choices is the oldest event listed. Have fun taking your quiz and showing off what you know.